link to our website, which is georgiasbdc.org, and that's going to help you get access to a lot of resources and find out more information about how we can help you. If you have not worked with Small Business Development Center before, I'm just going to give you a very quick, brief overview of who we are and what we do. At the core of what we do is consulting, and we do this at no direct cost. It's confidential. We will meet with you one-on-one, right now virtually, but during normal times, we can meet in person at your place of business or in our office to help you with a variety of business issues ranging from HR to marketing to accounting to access to capital. We have 17 offices around the state, and we cover every county in Georgia. Outside of consulting, what we also do is continuing education classes, similar to what you are attending today. In order to help small businesses recover from the effects of COVID-19, the University of Georgia is currently offering all of its continuing education program at no direct cost to small business owners, employees, and prospective business owners for this calendar year, thanks to special funding from the CARES Act. So that's a little bit about us at the Small Business Development Center. I would like to introduce today's speaker, who is Chuck Brown with Infinity Inc. With more than 30 years of experience in computer network support, IT consulting, and running his own company, Chuck Brown knows the key to developing effective business technology solutions. He is the CEO of Infinity Inc., an award-winning managed services provider in Savannah that he co-founded with his brother David. Together, they have been providing strategy and support of enterprise-class information services for small and medium-sized businesses since 1999. A Savannah local and a graduate of Armstrong, Chuck is proud to serve companies in the community he grew up in. He has been recognized as a coastal expert by WSAB and has appeared on WTOC as a cybersecurity expert. He has been featured on various podcasts and recently became a best-selling co-author of the book Hack-Proof Your Business Volume 2, in which at the end we have a little giveaway. Chuck and David pride themselves on building relationships and providing straightforward counsel to businesses throughout Savannah and surrounding areas. By focusing on solving business issues, they and the team at Infinity deliver peace of mind and partnership for all the technology your business needs to succeed. So without further ado, I'd like to hand this over to Chuck, and he's got a presentation prepared for us today. And so, Chuck, please feel free to take it away.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks so much to Valerie and the other folks at SBDC for letting us talk to you guys today. We're going to cover a lot of territory. I'm probably, if I can get it working here, we're going to flip back and do between camera and slides. Cybersecurity is a big thing. You hear about it in the news every day. There's a lot of questions. People are scared to death. They don't know what to do. Before we start, just one thing I want to say is there is no stupid question. There's no question we aren't answering. We may or may not get to all of your questions today, but if you have questions, shoot us an email. We'll try to help you out. Because again, it can be a confusing landscape to worry about. Infinity was founded about 20 years ago, primarily to serve the small and medium-sized business community. We're the outsourced IT department for our clients. In 20 years, the security landscape has changed a lot. Even in the early days of dial-up modems, security threats were real, but with all technology, they've evolved a lot. So, what is cybersecurity as it applies to the small business? Is it really a threat to my business? People think I don't have anything to steal, why would I be worried? What are areas of concern, like what damage could poor cybersecurity cause or allow to my business? What are the layers of a well-thought-out cybersecurity plan? What's an incident response plan? Why do I need one? And how do I create one? And what are some resources that can help me? Now, we have about 20 minutes. That's a lot of ground. So again, we're going to zoom through some of these. And please, if you have questions, post them here. Get with us after the presentation. We'd like to help you out. So let's first look through a couple of basics. What are we really talking about here? So in a nutshell, cybersecurity is the protection of internet-connected systems, including hardware, software, and data from cyber attacks. In a computing context, security comprises cybersecurity and physical security. used by companies to protect against unauthorized access to data centers and other computerized systems. So there's the cybersecurity, there's the software human part of it, and then there's physical security. So let's talk about what's really at risk. Most of you have probably said before, some of you said before, I'm a small business, who wants to attack me? If they got everything I have, they wouldn't have that much, what's the point here? Well, the average ransomware demand was a little over $1,000 in 2017. Globally, 34% of companies that are cyber attacked, ransomware, they wind up paying up. In the US, 64% of victims pay. That's interesting since data is only recovered about 47% of the time. But you have to think about this. So you're dealing with a criminal and you're trusting a criminal somewhere else to be honest enough to pay for what you're, to give you what you're paying for. So only about half the time is the data recoverable. There's a lot of bad actors out there. 43% of cyber attacks are directed at small to medium-sized business. So think of that. This is not the big enterprise. Big enterprises have the money to protect themselves. Small businesses don't. And if you consider something like direct mail, the return you get on direct mail, cyber attacks are really easy. If I can attack 10 companies today and 50% of them pay up, and it's an average of $1,000, I've netted $5,000 for very little work on my part. So from a business perspective, cyber attacks make a lot of sense. Cyber attacks cost an average of about $200,000 across all business sizes. One of the key things to think about is 60% of small businesses go out of business within 6 months of an attack. Now think about that. 60% are going to go out of business. 90% of small businesses don't use any data protection at all for company and customer information. Either they don't think they can afford it, they don't think it's a problem for them, or they're just not aware of what the realities of these things are. $200,000 on average, small business, think of what that would do to your bottom line, think of what that would do to your operations in your company to lose $250,000 tomorrow or give up all your data. 60% close, 60% don't have cyber attack plan. So it's really a matter of when and not if. Robert Mueller wrote, I'm convinced that there are only two types of companies, those that have been hacked and those that will be. And even they are converging into one category, companies that have been hacked and will be hacked again. So why does this happen? Small businesses typically don't think they're targets and are usually more easily hacked. Fewer safety measures means faster access, which means more targets can be attacked, better hacker productivity. We really have to stop thinking of the hacking as it's portrayed in the movies. There's not usually some big sinister plot requiring a complicated plan of coordinated attacks from multiple attack vectors across the world. This is a business. It's a very lucrative money-making business. It's a very easy business to get into. It doesn't take a lot of knowledge. Again, these criminals are often, depends on the level of cyber attacks they're doing, they are often not highly educated, highly trained, the criminals like you see on TV. There's someone who went to places on the web, they downloaded the kits needed to generate an attack, and they launched an attack. It's pretty straightforward. Another reason why they attack is small businesses can provide access to large businesses. If you look at larger companies in Savannah, you look at the JCBs or Gulfstream or companies like that, they have to vet their vendors because their vendors have access to their systems as well. So by getting into a little system, it's often possible for me to leverage my way into a larger system. There was a target attack during which credit card details were taken. Millions of people lost their information to cyber attacks. What most people don't know is the hackers gained access to Target by infiltrating a small HVAC company, stealing that company's access credentials to Target's network. So all of these interrelated systems that you see, air conditioners controlled by computers, these all have logins. So if your AC guy has his air conditioner system hooked into your network so that he can access it remotely, but he uses a weak password, your company is vulnerable. So what really can poor cybersecurity do or allow to a network? Number one, time is money, but data is money. Sensitive information being available to outside agents, the victim wouldn't know that it happened. Sensitive information moved to portable devices where network security protocols might not be enforced. This data is sold on the dark web every day. Apple IDs, credit card numbers, social security numbers, driver's license numbers. Today, you can log into the dark web, and for a few bucks, you can buy a valid Apple ID that's been stolen with a password. You can log in and charge things. That's how it's done. Another business risk is data integrity. Someone getting in and willfully destroying your data or stealthily changing your data without your knowledge. This often happens with corporate espionage, and this does happen with less mature criminals, shall we say. You sometimes find kids, you find other countries that are bad actors that simply go in to wreak havoc. They target a list of IP addresses. Wherever they can get in, they go in and make a mess. They damage things, they destroy things, they may change things. This happens a lot as well. Ransomware on your network, where someone logs in, encrypts your data, tries to use the ransom to try for you to get that data back for them again. There's also unintentional deletion and destruction of data. This is not cyber crime, but it happens all the time. Someone has privileges they shouldn't have on your network. They do something perfectly well intentioned. They wind up deleting data that shouldn't have been deleted. There's technological malfunction. There's server failure, data corruption, and disasters, of course, fire, flood, things like that may or may not destroy data. They may destroy equipment. The equipment then may harm your data if you don't have proper backups. Production disruption. So every now and then we meet someone who says the computers aren't really that important to their operation. But for most of us, losing our computers means losing our business, losing money. If you have countertop operations and you depend on customers coming in and paying you money for things or looking up inventory, how long can you really go without that access to your network? Credit card machines, can you run credit cards manually? All these things, production disruption is a huge cost to businesses today. Theft or damage of network components, disasters, viruses, zombie infections, all these things happen and they disrupt production. So what are the components of a well thought out cybersecurity plan? What can you do about it? As a small business owner, again, you're looking at these things probably and thinking, all I see here are dollar signs. They're telling me this stuff might happen to me, but everything you're going to want me to do costs money. Well, not really. So the most important thing when what we implement for our clients is a layered security approach. Think of it as locks. You know, if you have a business, you might have, depending on the type of business, you might have a perimeter gate. That gate has a lock. You probably have a lock on your front door. You may have a security system inside. You have passwords on your computers. So someone coming into your business has to pass through each one of these things to get to the core of what's important to you. Well, cybersecurity is the same way. There is truthfully no amount of money that you can pay. There's nothing you can put in place that will absolutely protect you from an attack. The truth is, if someone has enough money and enough time, there is no cyber defense that can't be gotten into. People have broken into nuclear power plants, they've broken into Department of Defense, they've broken into various military installations, they've broken into the IRS. There is nothing that is impenetrable. Our goal, especially when focusing on a small business, is to make it so difficult and cumbersome that it's not worth the intruder's time to try to break in. So we implement a layered protection. And as we look through these things, there are a lot of these things that you can do yourself today. So from an infrastructure perspective, we always put in an enterprise level firewall. The firewall does a lot of things, it's very technical, but at the root of it, it keeps the bad things out and the good things in. Firewalls protect traffic both directions. So if a firewall is configured properly, if a PC on the inside of your network becomes corrupt, becomes infected, and that software tries to send information out that shouldn't go out, there are circumstances under which a firewall can catch that outgoing traffic and stop it. Firewalls also block threats trying to come into the network. Antivirus software, you're probably already aware of. Most of you probably have it. I really hope all of you have it. Anti-spam software. Well, why do I care about spam? Spam just blocks my email. It doesn't really hurt anything. Well, not really, because a lot of that spam, that's bad emails that you don't want to come into your network, is carrying payloads that are bad things. Someone clicks on that UPS delivery that shouldn't come in, and their PC gets infected. Group policies are simply a way to implement on a larger network, a network that has a server, say password complexity or password length, we can use a group policy to make sure that happens for everyone and they can't opt out of it. Which moves us over to policies. Password complexities, bring your own device, screensavers, all of these things are vulnerabilities. It is shocking how many people still use $$, WORD as their password. They use their kids' names, or some people are really smart. They write down their password on a sticky pad. It's a complex password, but anybody walking by their PC can pick up their password. Using a complex password, not reusing a password, changing your passwords with some frequency. These eliminate a tremendous number of threats to your network. Screensavers, so someone can't walk by your computer, add themselves as a user, and then walk away and log back in after hours. These are important things. Then there's physical access. Can someone walk up to your server, plug in a USB dongle? Unused network ports and jacks. You can go on Amazon today, you can buy a device, I don't know, $50, $60, that if you can find an unused network jack, you walk into a building, plug it in the jack, that device will then put you on their network through Wi-Fi. Not expensive, not difficult, doesn't take a lot of technical expertise. So all of these things are vulnerabilities that are fairly easy to remedy. And as we said, typically the weakest layer is people. Education and awareness training is critical. So let's go back to this real quick. One of the tools that we really like is for ransomware. So what it does is it sends fake ransomware to the staff of your company. It measures their responses and it guides them towards training on how they would know not to do what they did before. And these are not things, sometimes we look at these things and think, oh, those people were really dumb to do that. Not at all. These emails are very, very hard to determine whether they're good or bad. I'll get emails weekly that I look at and I think, is this valid? Did we really order that from Amazon? Did UPS really fail to deliver a package? You have to really investigate to know. So there are tricks you can use to catch it. A lot of times you'll find if you look at these emails, something just doesn't sit quite right with you. They look almost right. Maybe there's a misspelling, maybe there's a font imbalance, maybe something's not quite right. Use your intuition. If you see something that doesn't look right, there's probably a reason for that. But again, most of the things that you hear about, most of the big intrusions, most of the big news-making things were not because of technological failure, they were because of people failure. It was because of a password that was easily hacked. It was a kid's name or a pet's name or a favorite vacation or something common knowledge. You have to be constantly vigilant to train your people to know what to look for. So again, we have layered security. So outside the perimeter of the thing, we have the cloud, we have endpoint security and dark web monitoring. So dark web monitoring is where we have tools that look at the dark web, that look at the databases there of email addresses and passwords that are for sale, and it notifies if any of the domains of clients that we manage are found there so that we can notify them to change their passwords. Endpoint security, antivirus, anti-spam, perimeter, firewall, antivirus, spam filtering, your internal network, keeping your networks up to date with Windows updates. Critical that you do this because Microsoft is constantly releasing security patches that patch holes and known vulnerabilities in a workstation. So we have to keep those up to date, and it's free. It's included as part of Windows. All you have to do is download and install it. End user, like I said, we have simulated phishing. We provide 24/7 support, so it's not unusual, again, to get a phone call from a client saying, I got this email, I'm not sure what to do with it, should I click it or not, and we'll investigate and let them know that. IT partnership is crucial as well. Whoever you use for a vendor, talk to them about password management. Look at regulation compliance. Do you have issues with HIPAA? Do you have other compliance issues that you have to deal with? The people that do, for example, if you're in healthcare, you have HIPAA, which raises the bar a good bit, and it also raises the fines and damages for you not doing the things that you should do to take care of yourself. Standard cybersecurity measures: workstation patching, server patching, managing your firewall, making sure it's up to date, antivirus software, spam filtering, security policies. These are all pretty basic. These are things that, in a large part, I wouldn't say firewall management, but a large part, these are things that you can do for yourself. Then we move on to things that are more proactive. We use next-gen malware protection. So the old type of antivirus software works off of patterns. Viruses are software. That software is written in code. Those codes have patterns that can be recognized in a database. Next-gen malware protection actually looks at what software is trying to do on your computer. For example, if it sees Word start up and try to create a program or install a program in system-protected areas, it's smart enough to know that Word shouldn't be allowed to do that, and it alerts someone and doesn't let it go through. Vulnerability testing of your network. If someone's trying to get in from the outside, do you have any holes? Do you have any software that's allowing people to get in from the outside? Managing DNS. This is when you try to go to the web from your computer, it uses DNS to find where you should go. Bad guys use that information to worm their way into your computer. Dark web monitoring, employee awareness training, all these are being more proactive. They're kind of moving up the food chain with taking care of your network a little bit better. So planning for the worst, why you need an incident response plan. And again, this is one of those things that a lot of people in this space, a lot of people that are consider themselves small businesses, will look at it and go, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, it's never going to happen to me. You know, all an incident response plan is just that, it's a plan. What am I going to do if something happens? Not having one means lost revenue, lost production, helps your competition. When you're down and they're not, you're going to take customers. Employee frustration and turnover. Sometimes we don't consider what these things do to our employees. It's very, it's like someone breaking into your home, someone breaking into your computer, even if it's not my computer, it's my employer's computer. It's scary. It means somebody has intruded into your space where they weren't invited and violated stuff that you have. So this leads to employee frustration and turnover as well. And of course, negative brand reputation. Which of us wants to contact our customers and say, oh yeah, by the way, your access to our website was stolen and somebody has that password now? None of us. So if you have a plan, review it. You can probably use updating. If you don't have one, start it. It's pretty easy. Find out if you're subject to regulatory requirements. If you're not, great. If you are, you really need to brush up on that because these things change all the time. And there's pretty substantial penalties for not reporting breaches that happen. Include your stakeholders. This is not a Lone Ranger type of thing. Incident response plans should be contributed to by all the stakeholders in your company. Department heads, trusted advisors, team leaders, they all have different perspectives on what's important to them and what should happen in a disaster. Consult legal and insurance partners. How are they going to back you up? Do they have guidelines you can use? They may even have an incident response plan that you can start with as a base to get started. And of course, include your IT partner. Before an incident occurs, get used to using that tech team. If you see something suspicious, pick up the phone and call them. That's what they're there for. They see it a lot more than you do, and they're trained to help you with it. Ask and don't assume what insurance covers. Risk exposure for retail versus legal will be different. Know your effective versus retroactive dates. How far back are they going to look to determine if they're going to cover you or not? Find out if you need to use certain vendors. This is a possibility. Your insurance company may say if you use A, B, or C, we'll cover you at this level, but if you use D, E, or F, we'll cover you at this level. And then know your reporting deadlines for compliance regulations. Some of these things have pretty stiff penalties that you have to be aware of. Understand all the costs. If you have to call in a forensic investigator, if you have to call in privacy counsel, you have to notify 10,000 employees, ransom fees, regulatory fines, downtime, the costs mount. So you may find out that it's a lot cheaper to prevent this than it is to clean up afterwards. And then perform a risk assessment. Keep in mind this is not a digital exercise. This isn't just a play. We need to find out what's going to happen when you lose your network. If this happens, if you were to come in tomorrow morning and your entire network was encrypted and you couldn't function, what would you do right then? Who would you call? What would you tell your employees? What would you tell your customers? How would you continue to function? An incident response plan makes you look at these things and kind of consider what you need to do. Know your recovery options. How frequent are your backups? Good backups can cure a lot of ills. They won't stop you from having some downtime, but they will get you back up very quickly. A solid backup that's set up the right way with the right protections, you could be up within a few hours. Poor backups, you either won't come back up at all or it'll be days. So you need to know what you're backing up, where they're going. Are you sure you can recover from your backups? There's finally needed one and found they weren't backing up the actual data, or the backup tapes were being thrown in a box with a refrigerator magnet and wiped out the tapes, on and on and on. There's horror stories all the time, and the key to this is simply test the backups. So digital threats tend to go an average of 101 days before they're detected. So the ransom operator doesn't just pop into your computer at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, do his business, and then send you an email. These are things, depending on how sophisticated they are, where they spend some time trying to break in, they nose around, they figure out how to extract the most out of you, and then it happens. They may wait 2 or 3 months while your backups age out. It's very important to catch this stuff quickly. So what resources can I go to? I'm a small business. I'm interested, I'm not sure where to go, what do I do? There's a risk barometer, annual survey report of the top global business risks, identifies the top risks for the next 12 months and beyond. Just to give you kind of an idea of what the landscape looks like. There's the net diligence mini data breach cost calculator. So you plug a bunch of stuff in about your business, about your technology, and it helps estimate the cost your business might face if you had a breach. And beside that, there's us. There's your own IT provider. Feel free to use us. Feel free to call, shoot an email. We'll be glad to try to help you and just advise you what you need to do, where you need to go. It's not unusual to get a call that says, hey, I use this type of antivirus software. Should I consider switching? Oh, well, you know what? We haven't used every antivirus software out there, but we've tested a lot of them, and we can tell you yes, no, we don't know. And we'll just try to be honest with you and help guide you along the way with that. And that's all I have. If you have questions, we have time for questions now. And again, thank you very much for letting me share with you.
So we don't have a lot of time for questions. We had told people that if they sent in their questions ahead of time, the first 2 would get a copy of your book. And I just wanted to announce that the winners of that are Annie McIver and Derek Hardman. And Derek's question, I think you guys are going to talk one-on-one with that. Annie, she has the question, she was asking, for someone that is not particularly computer savvy, and I can relate to this, with all the passwords out there, you get to see all these advertisements for Norton Security. What is something that the non-computer savvy person should be doing to protect themselves?
Probably the number one thing I would be aware of is passwords. Well, there's 2 or 3 things. One, it's kind of basic, bottom line, is that you should have antivirus software. We are not big proponents of the free stuff. Usually this is the kind of thing that you get what you pay for. Use Norton, use McAfee. We like ESAT, which is one of the things that we use corporate-wide. So any of the mainstream, and you can find tests, they're like anything else, Ford versus Chevrolet. You can find tests all over the internet that show that one is better than the other, but as long as you stick with the mainstream, you're gonna be okay. Make sure you have Windows updates turned on your computer. Again, you can Google it, it's pretty easy to do. I think by default, Windows 10 comes with it turned on, so you should be okay there. The number one people thing is your passwords. I can't state that enough. And one of the reasons for that is that people are creatures of habit. They've done studies that show over and over again that a tremendous percentage of passwords are reused. So, and just to give a really quick example that's really important, let's say that you sign up for a website that has to do with gardening, and you think, this is a dinky website, no big deal. I create a new password, I put it in there, but this website doesn't use great security. You would never know that, and they get hacked. Well, hackers know that if they break into that and get your password with your email on that website, they probably have your banking website and your home security website and everything else passwords, because more than likely, if you're like most people, you've used that password over and over again. So as long as I get your password one time, I'm almost guaranteed to have it for another dozen websites. Change your passwords, keep separate passwords. Now, it is a royal pain in the butt, we know that, but if you set up a separate password for each thing that you do, keep it in a password protector, keep it wherever you want to. But if you do that and someone hacks into one of those websites, they'll get your information off that website, but not others. That probably is the single biggest thing, having good passwords. They don't have to be horribly complicated. They really don't need to be your spouse's name, your kid's name, your pet's name, where you went to school. none of the things that first come to mind. They need to be something that you have to at least think about, what did I use there? But those would be the big things, and those are absolutely free. They're just a little bit of a pain, and they will prevent a tremendous amount of threats.
Okay. We only have time for one more question, so I'm just gonna ask this and that will be it. And this question comes from Danny, and he asks, what is the typical cost for a solution to ensure NIST compliance in order to conduct business with the government? And I know that we've got a lot of businesses that are concerned about that.
I have absolutely no idea. That is something we have not run into very much. We do a lot of HIPAA compliance, because we have a lot of healthcare providers. We have done, I'm trying to remember what the certification compliance is. We've worked with arms manufacturers before. There's certain compliances they have, and we've done some with banking regulations, but the specific one you're mentioning, I do not know.
So if you're looking at it, let's just say HIPAA, because that's another one. I mean, if you're looking at that, what's the cost for a solution to ensure HIPAA compliance?
HIPAA compliance is a kind of funny piece because, number one, it changes all the time. You can ask 3 specialists what I have to do to be HIPAA compliant, and they will give you 3 different answers. A lot of HIPAA comes down to proving that you tried. It doesn't even come down to doing. It comes down to proving to the auditor that you tried, or that you did an audit, you found holes, and you're working towards closing those holes. And then there's also a reasonability test that they use. We had one of our healthcare clients that was told by a HIPAA expert company, a company that comes in to do HIPAA audits, that they needed to take a certain action. Well, that action would have caused them to have to completely delay several $100,000 worth of equipment. And when we explained what we had done in place of that, the auditor said, okay, that's fine, document it, let's show that you've done that, and it'll be fine. So that's a tremendous variable in there. We work with a lot of third parties to do the auditing. HIPAA compliance, you're right, HIPAA compliance is really big. Every healthcare organization of any size, if you maintain personal health information, you have to worry about HIPAA, even if you're not in healthcare. And the solutions vary. That's one of the things that really requires a consultative approach. And if anybody has questions, it's not, we're not going to make you sign a contract or something. If you have questions about HIPAA, about if you're doing the right stuff, about where you should look, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you. We do that a lot.
All right. Well, I very much appreciate your time and your knowledge and your willingness to share that with us. Thank you again. Please, attendees, feel free to reach out to us here at the SBDC. Reach out to Chuck if you have any questions. We're about to end this again. You're about to get a survey. Please take the time to complete that. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.
Thank you.